Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half acre homestead, and as promised, you're gonna meet my Aunt Audrey. I do want to apologize. I had my phone trained on Aunt Audrey and the camera trained on me so that I could overlap them in editing, and I forgot to hit record because on my camera the red dot means it's recording, but on my phone the red dot means you need to record. Hey friends, this is Miss Wolfie from our half acre homestead in Peterborough, Ontario. And this lovely lady is my Aunt Audrey. Hi, Aunt Audrey. You gotta say hello to everybody, Aunt Audrey.
Do I say hello?
Yes, absolutely, darling.
Hello, yeehaw.
Hello, yeehaw. There you go. I was going to just come for a visit, but all my subscribers and my YouTube family have heard that you watch a lot of my videos and have been following me for how long, Angie?
Oh,
Couple year anyways?
A year, 2 years.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I said, well then, they said, get Aunt Audrey on camera so we can say hello. So they want to meet you. So this is not live, it's just a recording. So I can take out anything that you don't want in there, right? Now I got some questions because you got more memory than I do. Well, yes, you do. For stuff in the past, you do. Don't you? Do you remember when I came and lived with you when they were building the house up in Apsley?
Oh, yes.
Okay. How did I end up here?
Your parents were building a house in Apsley.
Yeah. Dad and Billy and them, and we'd sold the house in Toronto. And I guess, did Dad think this was the closest to...
This was handy.
Yeah.
Closer than Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Much closer than Toronto. I must have disrupted your life something awful, because I was here for close to 3 months.
Well, you didn't disrupt it. Give us lots of fun.
Lots of fun. Well, do you remember getting me to pick a roasting pan full of dandelions for your wine?
Yes.
And I got poison ivy? Because I remember you trying it out on Dad when we first moved up here.
It was after I married George.
George. Wow. You were still making it like then.
George helped me make it.
How'd it turn out?
Turned out pretty good. As a matter of fact, I don't know if there's any left or not.
We just threw it out last year, Nan.
That's the thanks I get.
That's the thanks I get, right? Yep. Oh my God, there's so many things I want to ask. Now, you're the last elder in the family, so I'm going to pick your brain about before I was born. Now, how many families at one time would actually live at 22 Blong when you guys were all young and first married?
The boys just returned from overseas.
Yeah.
I broke up the East End gang
Why?
by marrying. Jim was the first one to marry out of that four.
Oh, really? So that four was Uncle Jim,
Uncle Joe,
Uncle Bill,
Uncle Paul.
and Uncle Paul. You broke up the
I
gang.
was there when they all came home.
And you were the most sassy, beautiful, artistic woman, and Uncle Jim just had to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at one point wasn't 22 Blong, Grandma and Grandpa's house, wasn't that kind of a kickoff point where all couples started before they found their own places to live?
Bill and Gladys got married there on Long Avenue.
Yeah.
They were from Prince Edward Island.
Yep, I know. Wendy said they must have lived there, that Mom and Dad must have lived there until Wendy was 2. So Mike was born and Wendy was a toddler when they finally bought. Dad sold it. When we moved to build the house in Apsley, Dad sold it. I think he got $36,000 for it. And the last I heard, that house sold for $500,000.
Yeah, it is today too.
Yeah, it's Toronto. I think it's wonderful that this house is still here and still in your family. Do you ever find that house was haunted? Like that whole side of the street was haunted.
They used to say that, didn't
Did you ever see any ghosts?
they? No, I never did.
Top of
Speaking
reality.
Ghosts, I got a little story that came out of Long Avenue.
Oh, let's talk.
Just before Jim and I were married, he said, Miss was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So there were twin beds, so Jim slept in one bed. And he said, before I went to bed, he says, just sneak down the hall and give me a little kiss, will you? So I did that. And everybody was asleep, so I thought,
So you snuck down the hall.
yeah, give him a little kiss. And the voice roared right out of the dark. Get out of here, you walking ghost. Jim thought he'd die laughing. Jim thought he'd die laughing.
What was Grandpa more like? Like Mr. Paul?
He was not easy to live with. Miss must have had an awful life with him because he demanded so much of her.
What I heard, he demanded a lot from everybody. Like,
Yeah.
especially his
Told
sons.
Jim to get me out of the house, one time.
Did you go?
And I had been to the exhibition the night before, and I won a baby bottle, a flat-sided baby bottles they used to have.
Yeah. The kind you just stretch the rubber nipple over the top.
We were having an argument, and I threw the bottle at Jim, and it stuck on Mr. forehead. That's when he yelled, "Get out of here! Get that woman out of the house!"
You were just too feisty for Pop.
Laddie was another one. She didn't take anything from him. Being a redhead, she was kind of hard on him.
My dad apparently was one of those people who, Grandpa thought he could, because Dad was there most of his life. Like, from what I understand, he met Mom when they were just kids, when he would be running with Uncle Jim and Uncle Bill and Uncle
they
Joe.
did. There was, let me see.
And there was my Uncle Arthur sometimes ran with them.
And he's the one that was killed overseas.
Yes, he was. Never got to meet him.
I never did either.
Yeah.
He looked a lot like your dad, I thought.
Well, my dad compared him to John Wayne. He said, he always held him up like John Wayne in his mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess apparently after my dad's side died, then I guess my grandfather got into drinking really, really heavy. And it was Art, Dad's older brother, because they were 6 years apart in age. He was like 15, and he pretty much raised Dad. But I mean, the stories Dad would tell of them going down and shooting flaming arrows at the barges in the bay, and then having the police chase them through the streets after dark. And I get my hands on you, you little bastards! Right? And then if you got caught, you got thrashed by the police, taken home, and then your dad thrashed you for getting caught. So the stories that come out of that era. So where are you from originally, Audrey?
Well, Eastern Ontario, I spent 15 years on the farm.
Right.
My mother married the second time.
Is that in
So-
Chesterville?
Yeah,
And how many kids did your mom have? Like, how many siblings do you have?
5 altogether my mother had.
Wow. I often wonder how they do it. Having babies is no joke. I mean, except for Angie, of course. Angie just cocks her leg and they come out like a watermelon seed. Just,
Yeah.
I remember you phoning me, or you when we lived at Sunshine Homes,
Yeah.
and they said, the doctor said, if you wait for your first pain, you may not make it to the hospital. And I said, okay, have sterile scissors,
Yeah.
sterile string,
Yeah.
and a turkey baster,
Yeah.
and all this stuff ready. And I said, because call me first, because you may not, the ambulance
Yeah.
may not get there in time. But you were in and out that day.
Yeah, I was only there for a couple hours.
You phoned me from the hospital and said,
Well,
I had the baby. I said, where are you? Standing in the hospital. I said, when did you have her? Oh, an hour ago. It's like,
yeah, I went shopping. I met your brother Bobby, and he was working in Radio Shack in Lansdowne Place.
oh,
And I
right,
walked in
right.
there. He says, "Didn't you just have a baby?" I says, "Yes," but Kyla and Vanessa had pneumonia, and they were on medication.
So you had to go home.
Rick didn't know what to do with it, so I got up and left.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
But there's lots of those stories about Blanc Avenue. Diane Eames called it the House of Hell.
You know, I don't blame her. I don't blame her. The last time I was in 22 Blanc, I was pregnant with Arthur. And Arthur's 33 years old now. I was pregnant with Arthur, and I went to saw Uncle Joe, and I went to go up the stairs to use the bathroom, and I got halfway up the stairs, and it was so claustrophobic. It's like, I said, how did I ever sleep in this house with cousins when I was a kid? It was just stifling. It was, you could feel the energy in that place. So when Dad had his heart attack, and when he had his bypass surgery, Howie and I went down to Toronto to see him. And I asked him, he was on medication after the surgery, right, on pain pills. And I said, Dad, was 10 Blanc haunted? He said, Bev, the whole side of that street was haunted. He said the 22 Blanc was the worst. He said, he talked about Uncle Jim's basement, and they kept pouring and pouring concrete, Uncle Jim Knight's basement, trying to put a basement floor in, and he said, and it just kept sinking.
A lot of people think this place is, but not in a bad way. Your brother Bobby thinks the middle room was. I think he's the one who said he heard trains always going in that middle room.
It's always the hallway too, though.
Yeah, the clock.
Yeah.
And the back room was always kind of cold.
Oh yeah, saying it was Hell House.
Yeah.
And Dolly lived out of Cooksville, where the Toronto Airport now sits on her old house.
Yep.
Had 4 boys overseas all at once.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine living with 4 kids
They
overseas.
wondered why they didn't hear from Paul for a long time. Then later they found out he'd been a prisoner of war, a Japanese prisoner of war. And the last he saw Canada was at this airport down in Peterborough. His army was stationed there.
How long was that Uncle Paul missing? Do you remember?
Well,
Because I heard he was in there a long time.
when they first landed, he was taken prisoner.
Really?
Yeah, when he first landed. And it was on Christmas Day.
They say Uncle Paul said once that he wrote the song, I'll Be Home for Christmas.
He could have.
On a Christmas card or something to his mom.
Oh, yeah.
Or in a letter to his mom or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we never know for sure because it's still, I think it's under, nobody, it's unknown, but I could see it happening. That sounds exactly.
Yeah, Bing Crosby sang it, I remember
Yeah.
that.
I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. I quit smoking, Aunt Audrey, a long time ago. I can sing again.
Oh, great. You sound good.
Well, I'm getting old, but,
Oh, real old like me.
Listen, if I make it to your age, I'll be doing jigs. I'll be saying, ha ha, I outlived y'all. I'll bury yous all.
I think she's gonna.
Yep. But I know, you never could quite get the tomboy out of me. You and Aunt Josie tried so hard. Aunt Josie and your grandmother wanted me to be a career woman.
Oh, she tells me all the time about your train ride with you.
Oh, for me falling in late people's laps, and I had a couple of little 12-year-old romances with some 17-year-old young man.
What did you say, Nanny? Bev never stopped talking on the train ride.
I tried.
She was 14.
12.
12?
Yep.
I thought it was 14. Yeah, the train lurched, put on its brakes or something like that.
The train
And that
lurched, yeah.
threw people out of their seats, and she landed across the aisle on a man's knee.
Did I say something saucy, or was I embarrassed?
I don't know what you said, there was a lot of laughing. The little old lady sitting on the seat, she says, I thought I was going to have a man for the night, she said. I laughed at that, I thought I'd die laughing.
Oh my goodness. And I remember standing in between the cars and there was one point where we got into the prairies where it was just nothing but flax and wheat. And yeah, and it's like, so I picked up a book, I started to read, and Aunt Audrey goes, Bev, we're traveling across, the country almost. Look at the scenery. You don't need to look at a book. And I went, Aunt Audrey, the scenery hasn't changed in a day and a half. But it was fun. Remember, and Aunt, you made all those sandwiches so that we didn't have to eat because the diner car was so expensive.
Yeah.
So Aunt Audrey made peanut butter and honey and peanut butter and banana sandwiches, and we slept in berths on the way up and in the seats on the way back. And how old? Alana, I think, your niece Alana was 14 at the time.
Yes,
She taught me how to smoke.
Alana did. Yeah, it was my brother Alan's daughter.
But I remember you standing there while your sister-in-law played the organ. Do you remember she had this beautiful organ, and she could just play it like crazy?
Kelly.
Yeah. And Aunt Audrey standing there with the tape recorder. This is how old it is. She's standing with a tape recorder with a microphone on a cord, recording your sister-in-law playing the organ music. And I went, oh, is that ever nice? And you went, Bev, I'm recording. And then you could get her to start all over again, eh? Because I'd come out of the bathroom, yak, 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 yak,
Yeah.
yak, right? So it was a lovely trip. It was a lovely trip. Now you lived on a farm, you said. How old were you when you lived on the farm?
I went there when I was about 6 because I started such school, Woodland School in Montreal. And I went there only for a few weeks. And Mother, as I said, she married the second time because they were divorced from my father.
What was life like on the farm?
It was a 100-acre farm, and we had 22 cows. We had about 8 pigs. They got out once when the electricity went off. And my cousin Stan and I raced all over the...
Oh, because the electric fence was down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were running through mud and everything else. We picked up the pigs by the hind legs and set them
Wheelbarrowed them.
like a plank. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we dumped them over into the pig pen again.
My
We
gosh.
had a lot of later years when we'd visit, they'd come up from Picton, where my parents were now. But we'd start laughing about our days on the farm, and everybody remembered something crazy.
Well, I tell you, when we had pigs, they got out one day, and we only had, at the time, we only had a half an acre, right? The pigs got out, and Howie's at work. And these are almost full size, ready to be butchered pigs. And then I remembered, before we ever got pigs, our neighbor pigs had escaped and come over to our place. And I'm trying to round them up, get them in my barn so he can come and get them. He just walks over with a pail of food and clanks the handle on the pail, and they toddle off, follow them home. So when my pigs got loose, I got a bucket of deer chow. And it's got molasses and stuff. You can smell it a mile away.
Used to have pigs.
Yeah. No, we don't have animals anymore, just Gracie. And I just clanked the handle on the side of it was even a plastic pail. I said, here, Suey, Susie. Well, did they come running? I mean, I thought, I never moved so fast in my life because they were herding me towards because I was holding the bucket in front of me, and they were behind me, like almost nipping at my legs, going, come on, where's the food? You know?
Yeah.
So I learned the hard way that, when it comes to pigs, if they escape, give them the food they want and walk them right back in. But while they were loose, I cleaned the pig pen out.
Well, another night I remember, it was an electrical storm and the power went off. And it was at supper time, and we were just finished rounding up the cattle in the barn, and the storm came. And the cows all rushed into the barn, they squeezed and against one another to get in the barn. So when they were all in the stanchlands, I picked up the bucket and sat down. And as I sat down, a cow kicked me.
Whoa!
And that was because that cow turned out to be a bull.
And tell me you didn't grab what you thought.
I did.
Oh my God! You're lucky to be alive!
I am. It hurt, but my uncle was sitting behind me at the cow behind me, and my brother ahead of me. They never let me live that down.
Oh God! No one's ever going to let you live it down now. Wow. So how old were you when Uncle Jim and you got married?
He was 22 and I was 20.
Wow, just babies.
That would be entertainment for somebody, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I wasn't recording.
Are you sure?
Well, it's just the camera shut off. Yeah, I missed it because Howie sent me a text and I went to check it and I didn't turn the camera back on.
Back then?
Yeah.
Like, we send our milk to the milk factory. They came early in the morning, fill like that can at the gate there. And I was standing out there talking to the truck driver. I never missed him to talk to him. But I was standing, the trough was like behind me, filled with drinking water for the cattle.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I went backwards. And I flipped over right into the cow trough.
That was your day's bath?
That was my day shower.
Yeah. Did you have a crush on the guy who drove the milk truck?
Well, he was very pleasant. I kind of a crush, I guess.
Well, I'm pretty sure if you met the milk truck every day, you had a crush, Aunt Audrey. Come
His
on.
name was Stan Gow.
And you can remember that? See?
Yeah.
It was a definite crush, Ange. She had a crush. I know how to read. I know how to read between the lines.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about Walter Metcalf.
He was a nice guy. He won the Distinguished Flying Cross.
Did he really?
He shot down a Messerschmitt.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've often thought of him afterwards. It would have been nice if I could have married him and got married in our little white church down at the farm.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh,
She met Jim.
How'd you meet Grandpa?
hitchhiking.
You were hitchhiking?
Yeah.
Aunt Audrey.
He said, "You, the one in the middle, get in the front seat."
Guess he knew what he wanted, eh? How long after that were you married?
I met him in September. And we were married in December.
Wow. So where did you live after you moved out of 22 Blanc, Aunt Audrey?
We stopped living then.
Well, a house full of in-laws, like seriously.
You stop.
Oh, Aunt Audrey, you still got it. You still got your sense of humor, I tell you. I haven't laughed so hard, and I don't. When you said that you went to milk the cow and found it was a bull, I almost peed my pants. I thought, holy moly.
Yeah, I've told that story many times.
Well, it's there's gonna be a whole lot more people hearing that story.
She tells a story a lot about Uncle Bob and Grandpa and that going out to drink in town. Nanny didn't want to
Oh,
go
yes. they wouldn't take me. Every Saturday night they had to go down to the Duke of York. You
Right.
heard them talk about that.
Yeah, the Duke of York.
Wouldn't take me. So this time, Jim had a case of beer, a whole case. And he was loading up the truck and everything. And when he jumped in, it had 2 doors, you know.
Yeah.
It's a truck he used for roofing. We came to a stoplight at Long Avenue and Pape.
Yep.
And I jumped out, took the case of beer with me.
Good for you. Did he take you home?
Uncle Bob said they think they need to take.
Throwing beer in the back of the truck and hopping in and walking into hotels where women were. What a firecracker.
For all I know, I could have been your mother at one time. But what happened, they were wrestling in the front parlor, you know, and people were throwing one another around, just wrestling, fooling, really.
Yeah.
And I landed on your father's knee. And he told me later, he says, remember that time you landed on my knee? He said. He says, I wish you'd have stayed there.
Oh, jeez. Oh my.
Well, folks, I'm going to take my camera around and look at some of Aunt Audrey's artwork and show you the room I slept in when I was 12. And you still have your canopy bed? Can I do a picture of your canopy bed?
Yeah, I guess you better get a picture of it now.
Okay. Why? Is it going somewhere?
Yeah, we have to get
It
our
might
hospital
have to
bed.
be moved because of my wheelchair.
Oh, that's a shame. That was my favorite part when you let me sleep with you
Yeah.
in that big canopy bed.
Yeah,
Hey?
we're gonna throw it
You didn't see my mind working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to take you around and show you some of the artwork. And
I don't actually have much art, no. Art.
yeah, she's. Let's just focus in on that right there. That's one of Aunt Audrey's. I know the work. So yeah, no, you have Aunt Audrey. You don't seem to realize that as much art as you've sold or given away. Your house is full of you, right? Your house is full of you. You know, it's full of past, present, and future all in one, and it's wonderful. I love that lamp. Wow. I gotta show them. I gotta show them the lamp here.
What lamp is
The lamp with the chimney and the guy sitting at the fireplace and stuff. That is absolutely beautiful. Aunt Audrey, thank you so much for letting me record you. And for giving me lots of love and memories and laughter. I really needed it. Look at this. It's made all out of like straw and bits of wood. What's that?
The Hughes family, I don't know.
There's the spinning wheel. We always got to play with the spinning wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that lamp. Aren't they beautiful?
What's that?
That one by the blue chair? Oh my goodness. The things people used to make.
She still got her Friendly Village. It's in the dining room.
Oh my God, the whole thing. And the rest are all underneath.
This goes on too, but you won't.
This is where I found my
Yeah,
love
the
for
rest are
Friendly
all
Village
underneath.
dishes, folks.